Good morning, everybody. Good morning, YouTube. It is Friday, January 26, 2024, 9:19 a.m. Central Standard Time. Welcome inside the early. If you are watching this on YouTube, you can check these out every morning live on playback.tv/highlybiased at 9 a.m. Central Standard Time. We got a lot to go over today. NBA All-Star starters announced. Yesterday, we know who's going to be starting in the NBA All-Star game. Trade deadline right around the corner. Not too many crazy rumors, but I've cooked up a couple of Dallas Mavericks mock trades that I think are very realistic. That's, spoiler alert, are going to be in my trade deadline prediction video unless something changes between now and then. Because I've already changed several trades that I was going to have in there. I'll let you guys in. I'll give you guys a little sneak peek, a little under the hood viewing. Speaking of under hood, I have to take my car in to get inspected in the next hour. It fucking sucks. And we'll talk about some of the stuff that happened across the league last night. A lot of blowouts, but some interesting finals and some interesting storylines that popped up over the course of the night. Obviously, it is January 26th. 4 years ago today was the incredibly unfortunate passing of Kobe Bryant. In just that tragic thing. And I saw somebody mention this. God, it feels true. That, like this event right here, it just feels like time changed. Like, I don't know. It just feels like this was like almost a wormhole type event. That like things have just been different since this moment. Does that even make sense? Like, COVID and the lockdowns happened weeks after. I don't know. It just, like, time is just, obviously most of it has to do with the quarantine and the lockdowns and the pandemic and stuff like that, but just how weird of a time that was and how it just, I mean, we're relatively back to normal, but there is still, it's just nothing was the same after it. And it does kind of feel like this was almost like a strange, the last marker of the real world. Yeah, in a lot of ways. So rest in peace, of course, to everybody. Tough day. I remember exactly where I was. I just at my house, chilling. Saw somebody sent it to me in a text, and I could not fucking believe it. And then looked at TMZ, still couldn't believe it. And damn, it hit me hard. I mean, it's not like I wasn't like a huge Kobe fan, you know? I wasn't like a huge Kobe fan or anything like that. Had a lot of respect for him as a player. Not talking about any of the off-court stuff. You know, did grow to like him towards the end of his career. There was a real healthy rivalry. And damn, that one hit me hard, man. I don't know if a celebrity death has ever hit me as hard as that. Like, that was just a tough one. So, 4 years ago, man. 4 years. Damn. I mean, I laid in bed all day. I remember vividly. This is definitely one of those where were you when you found out type of events. But man, 4 years is just, I can't believe that happened 4 years ago. Again, time just feels weird since this time period. Kobe passing and then the pandemic. It's like genuinely something happened. Like, something happened in the universe. Things are just way different since then. Kobe passing being pre-COVID seems insane. Well, I don't want to go full conspiracy theorist on you, but COVID was going on during this time, and I vividly remember around this time sounding like a fucking insane person to my friends because I was telling them about, because I like to browse not really anymore because it's just a complete and total shithole, but the conspiracy subreddit every now and then just to like see what's going on. And now, unfortunately, they're all like uber right wing, like racist slash anti-Semitic. You know, whatever offensive term you could throw in there. But I remember around this time, people were like, "Hey, there's this thing going around China, this virus that's like gonna fuck some stuff up." And I was telling my friends about it, and I seemed like a crazy person. So technically, it wasn't pre-COVID. It was during COVID, but it was pre like quarantine and lockdown and stuff. All right, that's a good start to the episode. All right, let's get into the All-Star starters, which got announced last night. Nothing too crazy. I guess in my brain, I didn't think that Dame was. I didn't think Dame was leading the fan votes like that or had a chance to be a starter like that. In my head, it was between like Trae Young and Brunson. I guess I'm just an idiot. Fuck, I had a tweet up that showed like the breakdown of all the voting and stuff, and I lost it, of course. Western Conference, I will say that there's no real shocking snubs or anything like that from the starters. If you guys see a tweet that has like the voting breakdowns, can you send it in the chat? I had one pulled up and then my dumb ass clicked out off of it or something. Oh wait, never mind. I got it. All right. So the starters are in the Western Conference: LeBron James, Nikola Jokic, Kevin Durant. No surprises there, really. My personal ballot, I had LeBron and Jokic. Now, LeBron got some like pushback, but it's LeBron James. He's going to be starting in the All-Star game. 20 straight seasons starting in the All-Star game. Just a remarkable stat. Year 21 in the league. Every year besides his rookie year, he's been starting in the All-Star game. Just a testament to how durable he's been as a player to go 20 straight seasons without being like injured. Knock on glass. And being that good. I thought starts weren't a stat as an all-star accomplishment. No, it's not like written down or anything like that, but I mean, people track that kind of stuff. It like whenever you look it up, it's not going to say it on their basketball reference or anything like that. Jokic, obviously. KD, again, I had Kawhi on mine, but KD's completely fine. These guys are going to make it anyways. And then starting in the backcourt is Luka and Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. Luka obviously was a lock to start. I thought Shai was a lock too. I mean, he's just been so much better than Steph. There's just genuinely no no argument for Steph over Shai. But I thought that maybe because it's Stephen Curry, he would find himself starting, and that was not the case. In fact, Steph was behind Luka in the fan voting. Shai got first in player voting, first in media voting. So it was always going to be Mr. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. So congratulations to him. What does social media act like SGA came from nowhere? He was a top 10 high school player and a lottery pick because no one watched the Thunder. Like nobody watched the Thunder for like 4 years. Of course, people who were watching the Thunder or paying attention at least, i.e. myself, we're like, hey, this fucking Shai guy's really good. Hey, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, he's really good. He just needs to stay healthy. Like people don't even probably realize that Shai missed like basically half of 2 straight seasons. Otherwise, he would have been an all-star before last year. I still, to this day, I'm happy Mike Conley got one because he's one of my favorite players ever. But I don't remember what year is it. What year was it that Mike Conley got it? Was it 21-22 or 2020 2021? 2021, 2022. I thought Shea had a pretty good chance or a pretty good case for being an all-star that year, but they gave Mike Conley the career achievement. You haven't made one yet. The career achievement, you haven't won one yet. Let's get you one type of Shea missed how much for real? 2020. I'm trying to remember the exact injuries. There was like a fractured foot or something in there. 2020, 2021, he only played in 35 games. They shut him down for the back half of the season. The Thunder did get some shit for that, but not like a lot of shit. And then 2021, 2022, missed like 2 big chunks of the season, and then was like shut down at the end of the season pretty much. Better career, McCollum or Conley? Man, Mike Conley was like the lead guard on some really, really great Grizzlies teams, and then was a really big piece on some really, really good Utah Jazz teams. And now is the starting point guard for a really good Timberwolves team. Missed Thunder were taking. Well, he actually was injured, though. I think that they were just very, very cautious with bringing him back. I don't think CJ McCollum's obviously a much skilled scorer and stuff like that. Better career, though. I feel like you have. CJ McCollum does have a most improved, but I feel like you almost have to go Conley, right? So those are your starters in the West. And then in the East, you have Giannis, Tatum, Embiid. No surprises there whatsoever. Halliburton and Dame finishes as the all-star starter, which I don't agree with at all. In my honest opinion, Dame had a better case for just not even making the fucking game than he did being a starter in the game. And it doesn't quite make sense to me how he managed to weasel his way into being a starter, because Trae Young was second in fan voting, which is kind of crazy. Brunson finished 1 spot higher in player ranks, 3 spot higher in media ranks, which I guess means that they were tied, and then it went to fan voting, where Damian Lillard had him beat. This is the first time in Dame's career that he's been a starter in the All-Star game. Isn't that crazy? It does kind of showcase the how tough the West is, because this is by no means anywhere close. Anywhere close. You hear me? Anywhere close to Damian Lillard's peak. In my opinion, it should have been Brunson. I think Trae has a better case than Dame. Donovan Mitchell most certainly has a better case than Dame. Was I saying closed? I wasn't saying closed. I was saying close to the T. Get it right, dude. So there you go. My assumption is Trae will make it. Donovan Mitchell will make it. It's 2, even on the bench, it's 2 backcourt guys, 3 frontcourt guys, and then 2 wild cards. Trae and Donovan Mitchell, I feel like, are very safe picks. And I think Maxey is a pretty rock solid pick. I just can't. I can't imagine Derek White actually making it. I think that'd be a travesty. Travesty's a big word. Okay? But I think it would be a fucking travesty. Okay? I absolutely think it would be a travesty. A national one. It might spark an international event. Then in the front court, absolutely no surprise there. Jaylen Brown will make it as one of the guys. Then I don't know. I don't know who the other front court guys are going to be. In my ballot, I had Jared Allen. No way Mikal Bridges makes it. No. Absolutely not. Paolo finished higher than I expected. Like, Paolo's going to have a really good a really good shot to make it, I think, which would be cool. Who else did I have as my front court reserves in the East? It was Jared Allen, Jaylen Brown, and who was the other one? Oh, Scotty Barnes, who's not even on here. I'm kind of walking back my Scotty Barnes, but I'm not entirely sure he makes it. I think Paolo has a really good chance of making it, which would be dope. Julius Randle has a good chance as well. KP's got a sneaky outside chance. KP did twist his ankle yesterday. I saw, I don't want to say funny, but some tweets that did make me say, wow. Actually, no, I'm not going to sugarcoat it. Tweets that did kind of make me chuckle a little bit, where it was like, Kristaps Porzingis tweaked his ankle, went back to the locker room, could barely walk. It was like, oh, fuck, here we go. And then the next thing you know is on the bench, like dapping everybody up. Didn't go back into the game because it was a blowout, but kind of seemed like he was fine. Like there was no ice or anything. And I saw some Mavs fans who were like, he would have been out for the season with the Mavericks, yet somehow there's some blood magic at work here in Boston, and he's just completely and totally fine. Good night, everyone. See y'all soon. Peace out, LJ. At least I'm assuming. Were there updates? I mean, the fact that he was just walking around the bench with no, like, ice on it or anything kind of makes me feel like he'll be ultimately fine. Hey, Sally, would you rather have Derek White or Kyrie on the team? I'd rather have Kyrie. I mean, haven't we seen how poor this offense has been at times? Oh, wow. Celtics fans think that this was a dirty play by Bam. That's just... Huh? Here's Heat center Bam Adebayo placing his foot under an opposing player as he goes up for a rebound. Kristaps Porzingis suffered an injury on the play and did not return to the game. This might be a troll. Oh wait, this might not be a troll. There's no possible way you could think that that's dirty or intentional. Any updates on Kristaps, who was going crazy? Doesn't seem like. The other round of Kristaps Porzingis getting on the bus. Good Lord, KP is so fucking huge. Seems completely fine. All right. Yeah, KP has stayed pretty healthy, knock on glass. Good for him. I mean, we were talking about that game already. The Heat get absolutely destroyed. This Celtics offense, when they're clicking, man, there's just not a lot you can do, even for a team like the Heat, who are good defensively and who have played well against the Celtics team, obviously. Did you see Luke with the TNT guys? Yeah, I saw some of it. I mean, what did I see? Luke is saying for the millionth time he needs to not complain to the refs. Okay, great. I just love every time he does that. I just love every time he does that. You just, like, I see people on Twitter like, oh, okay, thank God he admitted it. Thank God he said it. He's saying all the right things. It's like, okay, cool. He's done that a lot. Anyways, I'm don't really care about talking about that today. Yeah, just a nice win for the Celtics. KP was incredible early in this game, 19 points. Then twisted his ankle, came out, 21 minutes. Tatum was good. I mean, 55% from three. What do you do? What do you do? 30 points or more in every single quarter. When they're moving the ball around and they're hitting threes, it is difficult. I know they're not statistically the best offense in the NBA, but they are. Speaking of other good offenses, the Pacers, their first win with Pascal Siakam, beat the 76ers in what was probably the 76ers' worst game of the season, I think. Watch this game back this morning. Siakam's been really good. Triple-double in this game. That's his second straight triple-double, isn't it? Didn't he have one in their last game? Why the fuck in my brain did I think that Siakam had a triple-double? Okay, I have no idea why I thought that. Miles Turner was really good in this game. Was honestly playing some pretty damn good defense on Embiid too. As good as you could have hoped. Embiid still got 30 points. I mean, there's shameless stat padding with Embiid, and it is what it is. I don't really care. To keep his 30-point streak alive, and I've seen people make some good points that these guys care about it. So there was a mock trade for the Mavs. So we'll get to it, man. We'll get to it. Stay patient. Jazz beat the Wizards. Tyus Jones, 14 assists. The Wizards, one of these teams where it's like, all right, you never know. You never know who on this team is getting traded in the next however many days. Danny had a pretty good stat line. I gotta be real. I didn't watch a second from this game, so I got no real clue. Doing some research, like there are people around, fans who seem to think like they could get Fontecchio, and that made me think, like, does Fontecchio have a market? / his shooting has been pretty important for the Jazz. Do they even really want to trade him? Knicks blow out the Nuggets. Mark Stein just dropped a column. Do I skim it really quickly on my phone? There's some interest. LaVine to Detroit, which honestly I've thought about more. It kind of makes some sense to me. At first I was like, what? Zach LaVine to Detroit when those rumors were popping up yesterday. Then I thought about it more and I was like, if Detroit can just trade like Bojan and Sasser or something, and then whatever other contracts are needed to make it work. But like nothing too crazy. Sasser's, been a fine player, but what's he realistically going to develop into? And then Bojan, bringing in like a guy who's still pretty damn good, like an injury risk and making a ton of money, sure, but you're the Pistons, and it's like, why not? I kind of like it actually for them. And then the Bulls just get off the contract while also getting somebody who will legitimately help them in Bojan. And Sasser too. Sasser's not bad. I'm skimming this a little bit. I think this is all about LaVine. Okay, it is. It's all about LaVine. Kind of sounds like there might be some smoke there. What's this?
You will not be the all-star stars. What do you think about that?
I mean, you got two guys that have been playing amazing this year, Luka and Shea. So, I've been around doing this for a very long time, and the fact that it's a talking point, I'm not. And after whatever 9 healthy years, like, those two guys are playing amazing. They deserve it. Hopefully, I'm there in Indiana in whatever capacity, but to still be doing it at this stage. It's always a challenge. It's never.
Completely reasonable answer. Knicks blow out the Nuggets. Well, the Knicks playing some great basketball. OG Anunoby. I don't know why I said that so weird. is just so good for them. It's unbelievable. Plus 38. His plus minus stuff has just been insane. 6 steals. Jokic had 7 turnovers. Just a rough Jokic game. I mean, 31 points, 11 rebounds, but some uncharacteristic turnovers. Looked uncomfortable. I mean, OG jumped some passing lanes, like read them like a book. I don't know the last time I've seen something like that when it comes to Jokic. Nuggets aren't a serious regular season team this year. I mean, they are 31-15. Very much in play to be the 1 seed. So, but ultimately, I do kind of agree. Kind of a testament to how good they are. So, great win for the Knicks, who again are just looking really good. And they don't, like, Hartenstein's missed some time. Mitchell Robinson might be coming back this season. I don't know. I don't know what the ceiling is for this Knicks team this year. They might make another move. Like, things could start to get a little spooky in the Eastern Conference for some teams that, like, you look up, you had a great regular season, look up, wait, what the fuck? I have to play the Knicks in round 1? How the hell did that happen? Dark horse to come out the East. It's tough to imagine them beating a combination, 2, because they'll have to beat 2 of these teams. 2 of the Celtics, Sixers, Bucks. But, you know, crazier things can happen, I guess. I did not trust them in the playoffs. They looked so bad last year. Well, they did like, annihilate the Cavs. And then the Heat. Did they look terrible? I mean, Julius Randle did. Brunson looked incredible. RJ Barrett isn't on the team anymore. We'll just leave it at that. And Emmanuel Quickley's not on the team anymore either. He was terrible there as well. All right, Timberwolves and Nets. I watched this game because I had an intuition. I turned it around midway through the third quarter. Actually, I watched a good chunk of this game. But I tuned back in midway through the third quarter. The Timberwolves had a semi-comfortable lead. They were up by like 13 or something like that. But I knew deep down, I had an intuition that this game's going to come down to the wire. And once you know it, it did. The Timberwolves shit all over themselves once again and were incredibly fortunate to walk out of here with a win. Now, if you're the Timberwolves, you just say, hey, we're on a road trip. Like, we'll take all these wins we can get. 14 turnovers. How many of these in the fourth quarter? I think they had 9 in the fourth. I don't remember the exact number. But it was a high total. It was a high total. Hold on. I gotta. What is stopping Luka Doncic from recruiting Nikola Jokic? Probably a billion different things. Team being bad. And let's just start and stop it right there. There was a hilarious possession late in this game. I can't imagine this shit just fixing itself over time, to be honest with you. At least not this season. 7 turnovers in the fourth quarter for Minnesota. And I want to be clear as to like where we were. Late in this game. Fourth quarter. So who missed like a wide open shot? Spencer Dinwiddie misses a bunny, essentially. Spencer Dinwiddie misses a bunny with 47 seconds left that would have tied the game. Then Anthony Edwards proceeds to take one of the worst fucking shots I've ever seen. Karl Anthony Towns, who was playing pretty well in this game and was just getting to the rim at will and was kind of unstoppable. Calling for the ball, Anthony Edwards says no, takes the most disgusting looking jumper you've ever seen, and it misses, naturally. Anthony Edwards in the fourth quarter, 0 points, 0 of 3 from the field. And the Timberwolves just luck out. Mikal Bridges got fouled with 2 seconds left, missed the first one, then intentionally missed the second one to try and get a rebound. And there was a lane violation. So, incredibly lucky to come out of here with a win. And yet another disastrous fourth quarter for this team. And pointing and laughing at Dinwiddie running out the clock was insane too after that. Yeah, I know, because Anthony Edwards was fucking horrible. Ant's going to be a really good player in the league. You can just see it. He's got so many things to work out, though, before he's like in that legit star territory. But yes, another loss for the Brooklyn Nets, who are just waiting for the trade deadline. It feels like Cam Thomas was good in this game. It's just like I don't think a team in the league desperately needs a trade more than them. Just to do one. Just to shake some shit up. Kings Warriors was an absolute banger. Incredible back and forth. Harrison Barnes, 39 points. Career high for him. 14 of 24. Absolutely incredible. A back and forth with Steph. Jonathan Kuminga had maybe the best game of his career. I mean, it's up there. And the Warriors lose a tough one at home. Steph Curry dribbles it off his foot at the end of the game to lose. I feel bad bringing up Brick Muse, but just dribbles it through his leg. Game over. Warriors fans mad about not calling a timeout. You know, these are always hindsight 2020 things. We do know coaches like to go before the defense can get set, before substitutions can be made. Let's go. Push the pace. Let's try to get a good look. You got the ball in your superstar's hands. Really good defense by the Warriors. I'm sorry, by the Kings. And with that loss, the Warriors now 19-23, 4 games below 500. Rivalry week been good so far. Only Mavs folded. Well, Celtics and Heat was pretty bad too. And D'Angelo Russell goes crazy. And a Bulls win, dropping, what was it, 8 threes, I think D'Lo did? Some insane ones. 8 of 13 from 3 with some crazy, crazy shots. All right. So I want to run this by you guys before the trade deadline prediction video, just to see what you guys say. These aren't locked in stone that I'd put these in my trade deadline prediction videos, but 2 trades that I genuinely think are possible. Like, beyond anything else, these aren't ideal moves, in my opinion. These are, like, realistic. How do I think this team goes about the trade deadline? I want to know what you guys think. Who do you guys predict? This is a player that I've been like, I don't know. I don't really know. I don't really know if a trade makes sense. But the more I thought about it, the more I'm like, yeah, actually, this does make some sense for both sides. Just in terms of their history as front offices and what both teams need to accomplish. It's not Denny. It's not PJ Washington. Mavs Knicks. It is Wiggins. So this is the trade that I concocted. It sucks adding Seth into this because, like, we're trading Seth again. You know, like, Seth's been here 3 different times. We're just like, hey, we're leaving you again. Overpay? I tried to make this deal work without Tim Hardaway. It's really hard, though. It's really, really hard. Hell no. Like, it's genuinely so hard to make this deal work without Timmy, just contractually. And this also makes sense, in my opinion, for the Warriors, who I think, I really don't think the Warriors are going to make a panic trade to try and, like, majorly upgrade their roster. I don't see it. This, for them, gives them a little salary cap relief. They do save $2.4 million, which, considering their, like, tax thing, I don't know how much money that actually is saving them. Probably, like, in the 30s. Twitter notification? Doc Rivers? Okay, don't care about Doc Rivers' assistants. This gives them a contract that they could easily move off of in the summer in Tim Hardaway Jr., where the Mavericks, who I think could be reeking of desperation around the trade deadline, get a bigger wing who they can plug into their starting lineup, who does have postseason experience, championship experience. And they also get some draft compensation in the form of second-round picks to make it happen. Would I be excited if this trade happened? No, I'd be a little bit scared, obviously, because, you know, the Wiggins stuff is a little bit spooky, and he wasn't good in this game against the Kings. And if he just is who he is at this point, which is a guy who has questionable commitments, I think is maybe the way to describe it. This would move the Mavs. I think the Mavs would still stay under the luxury tax if they made this move, I believe. And again, for the Mavericks, you're getting off Tim Hardaway Jr., who you've reportedly been wanting to trade forever. So he finally gets traded. They're $3.6 million below the luxury tax, so they would still be below the luxury tax in this move. But it doesn't really matter, because I do have another move for them. Just based off of some of the needs of the teams involved in this trade. This makes some sense to me. A 3-team trade. The Timberwolves get a backup point guard in Monte Morris. The Kyle Anderson gets rerouted to the Mavericks. The Pistons take on Rashawn Holmes' contract, and they get 3 seconds in the process. Monte Morris is expiring. Timberwolves get a backup point guard. Pistons get some draft capital. Mavs get off Rashawn Holmes and get an expiring Kyle Anderson in the process. Kyle Anderson, I'm telling you guys, these are like the moves I'm almost kind of expecting. Desperation. They don't have a lot of trade assets. But yet, like, these 2 moves, they would escape the deadline with like two decent and respectable bigger players. They're not like groundbreaking, earth-shattering trades. But Wiggins starts for you. And you could go Kyrie, Luka, Exum if you wanted to at the 3. Wiggins and Lively. That doesn't sound terrible. First one should keep you under the first apron. Yeah, because look, you're adding $2.4 million in this deal, but in this deal, you're saving $2.8 million. Then you have Kyle Anderson, who Chris Finch loves. That's what I was noticing in my research. Like, Chris Finch loves Kyle Anderson, which makes mocking trades that much more difficult. But Timberwolves fans are completely and totally done with him, and he's expiring $9.2 million. So it's like, given their money situation, it's probably the easiest way for them to get a backup guard. And they're $2.4 million below the tax. They only take on $580,000. Like, they don't go over the luxury tax. That's something that you really got to consider whenever you start doing mock trades. Like, okay, this team does this, but it puts them over the luxury tax. And would they actually want to do that? And a lot of the times the answer is no. A lot of times the answer is no. If the trade doesn't dramatically improve a team and it puts them over the luxury tax, they're probably not going to do it. Luka gonna see your moves and get sick to his stomach. I mean, think about it. I'm here to tell you right now. I don't think Luka and Tim Hardaway Jr. love playing next to one another. There's been tons of rumblings about it. There's been people who I genuinely trust that I've heard rumblings from. I don't think these two love playing basketball with one another. And I want you just to watch body language when Tim Hardaway Jr. has the ball in his hands. Just next time, just watch Luka. Okay. And also, the Mavericks have been just trying to trade Tim for forever. The Warriors are going to have to save money at some point. And maybe they look at it and say, well, we don't want to sell this low on Wiggins. Or maybe they look at it and say, if Wiggins is still a disaster over the next 3 months, it's going to be impossible for us to get off of this. So we get like a player who could probably help us right now in Tim Hardaway Jr. Maybe a player we could reroute, or a player we could just move in the summer for like his salary is decent enough to move in a trade. Seth Curry. I mean, you could add Markieff Morris to this. I just did Seth Curry because the Curry brother connection. Also, like Corey Joseph gets some decent minutes for them. Like, could Curry not step in those minutes? Like, Corey Joseph played a lot last night. You take the risk on Wiggins, and then you're getting 2 seconds in this process to take on that contract, and then you're only giving up 1 second in this deal. So all in all, you're netting a second-round pick. You're getting 2 like bigger forwards who can help you, and you're getting off of contracts. It kind of makes some sense to me. I'm gonna be real. I'm going to be real. It actually makes some solid sense to me. They're trades that feel very realistic. Like, I could come on here and be like, Kuzma for Jaden Hardy and 2 seconds. But why the fuck would I do that? That's not happening. It's never going to happen. I could come on here and say, Jeremy Grant for Omax, Rashawn Holmes, and Maxi Kleber. Guess what? Never going to fucking happen. That's why I didn't come on here saying Siakam for Omax, because guess why? It was never going to happen. I'm trying to be realistic. Not hyped about Kyle. So in this trade right here, why not? Because you're getting like a player who, in theory, fits a need for you. And you're getting off Rashawn Holmes, who does nothing for you. You're getting off that money next year, and you're only giving up a pick. Now, in my mind, do the Pistons do this? I think the Timberwolves would do this. I think the Timberwolves kick the tires on maybe a point guard who's under team control, but I don't really know if there's any of those out there. Tyus Jones, I think, will be a little too rich for them. And Monte Morris is more than capable, and he just came back. He just played his first game of the season. But Monte Morris, I think, would be a more than capable backup point guard for them, which is something they are in desperate need of. And also, Tim Connolly. He was there. He was there when Monte Morris was in Denver. So, hey, don't sleep on that. Okay, but what about the Mavs slightly? The Mavs are right here. They're in the middle. What do they get? They're right here in the middle. It says right here. Kyle Anderson can come off the bench for the Mavs. I mean, just gives them some size. And then the Pistons are the ones where I'm like, okay. I feel like maybe 1 or 2 seconds is good enough for Monte Morris, right? And then the Pistons are getting an additional second, a 2025 Toronto second, which might be pretty good. Rozier just went for a first. Well, yeah, but Monte Morris is nowhere near Terry Rozier. I actually think the Pistons would probably do this. So in these trades, the Mavericks are getting somebody who they can plug into their starting rotation, and you just pray to God he's a change of scenery guy. You pray to God that he's just somebody who just needed to just get out of whatever was going on in Golden State, maybe the pressure, I don't know, and just go somewhere else. Because here's the reality, right? Wiggins is like a very instrumental piece to the Warriors. He was whenever the Warriors won the ring. Obviously, we remember as Mavericks fans. A big piece. They need him to do things. They need a lot of on-ball creation from him. He wouldn't necessarily have to do all of that in Dallas. It was an outlier year for Wiggs, and that's the big concern. What's okay if I'm looking at Andrew Wiggins' career? What am I taking like the 2 years? Maybe if you want to be generous, the 2 years, maybe a year and a half of Wiggins that was really great and damn near could have won Western Conference Finals MVP. That's how good he was. Am I going to take those years? Or am I going to take the other 7 years of his career that kind of show me that he's somebody who can lack focus from time to time, doesn't look all that interested from time to time? Because he's 29% from three, folks. I mean, that's shocking. So yeah, would you love to have Dorian Finney-Smith back? It's gonna be too rich for the Mavs. Of course, I would love to have it back. I would absolutely love to have Dorian Finney-Smith back. Don't get it twisted. I'm trying to be as realistic as possible. PJ Washington is semi-realistic to me. But I don't know. I have no idea what his value is. I've tried to figure it out. I've tried to really think about it hard. And it's difficult for me to figure out trades that make sense. I also tried to do Grant Williams to the Warriors, but I don't think they'd want the 4-year deal. I don't think they would want the 4-year deal. I could be wrong though, because Tim's a contract in the offseason you could easily trade. Aren't Wiggins and PJ having like career low years? So either guy, their fan base is begging to ship off, and we would be hoping the change of scenery helps. Both are gettable, I think. Yes. Wiggins to me screams more Mavericks. Like that's just screams Mavericks to me. PJ's a little, wouldn't really shock me, but Wiggins screams Mavericks. A player that has shitted on them in the past. For some reason, they love that. Player who shitted on them in the past. Player with like legit, real championship experience. and a player they can talk themselves into fixing. Like that screams Dallas Mavericks to me. I don't know what PJ Washington's value is. I have no clue. Is it like so low that I'm not giving up a first for PJ Washington? I'm sorry. I cannot get there. If you can get PJ Washington without a first, okay, I'm very intrigued. But then it's like, why would the Hornets even do that then? You know? Okay, we have PJ Washington, and then what? There was some rumors that the Hornets were interested in Grant Williams. Okay, can you make this trade happen? Is this even possible contractually, or do you have to add something? What, dude? Okay, I think the Mavericks would probably want to add somebody else so they could skirt the luxury tax. So, Seth. I think even like adding Markieff to this. They add 2.4 million. I think they're like 2.7 under the luxury tax or something like that. 3.6. So they would avoid the luxury tax. All right, and then what else do you add to this? 2 seconds. Or Hardy. Okay, I mean, I'd be in for that. I'm like kind of, I wouldn't say done with the Hardy experience, but getting very close to being done. I mean, okay. I don't think I'd be mad at this necessarily. That would do it. I mean, we don't know if that would do it, is a thing. I have no clue what his trade value is. None. Yeah, I mean, I'm not jumping up and down from this trade, to be honest with you, but I wouldn't be angry. Now, if you take Grant Williams out, if it's like, I guess Tim, I'm like struggling to think about why the Hornets would do this. That's kind of where I'm at. I'm like struggling to figure out why exactly Charlotte's saying yes to this. All the other ones I just did made sense to me in my head. The Warriors are getting off of Wiggins' contract, and kind of similar to the KP trade for the Mavericks, where they're breaking up into more palatable contracts for teams to trade for down the line. And the Timberwolves, who desperately need a point guard, they have to use Kyle Anderson's salary. Whatever team they trade with isn't going to want Kyle Anderson. The Mavericks jump in and get like a bigger forward. I struggle to see why Charlotte would do this. Unless I actually don't know why they would do this. Like, I don't know why they would do this. Unless they love Jaden Hardy. Like, that would have to be it. They absolutely love Jaden Hardy. They just traded away Rozier. There's kind of like an opening for that pack-a-punch scoring guy. Scoring guard. But then I'm like, well, they have Nick Smith Jr. Like, I don't know. I really struggle. I really struggle to see it. Like, it doesn't make a lot of sense to me. Now, if you want to revisit the Wiggins trade, there's a pathway where you can make this work. I had it last night. How much more do I have to add? it was difficult. There was a lot of maneuvering that had to be accomplished in order to make it work. It'd probably have to be a 3-team trade. But then again, I'm like, okay, but why are the Warriors saying yes to that? Why are they saying yes? I think you had to add Dwight Powell. I think this is successful. Yes. So a couple things I'll immediately say. One, would the Mavericks trade Dwight Powell? I'm being dead serious. Two, this trade puts the Mavericks over the luxury tax. I guess they could probably make a smaller move to get under it because they'd have to save $300,000. But I come back to this. The Warriors say yes to this. Why? The idea of trading away Wiggins is saving money. Okay, you break it down into smaller contracts that you could easily move off of. They'd have to want Grant Williams. Like, they'd have to like Grant Williams and want him. They'd have to like Grant Williams, and they'd have to want him. I have no clue what his value across the league would be. Maybe they do have a type. Maybe they look at Grant Williams and say, well, he plays bigger, in theory, than his size. Plays bigger than his size. No, I'm not. I'm not doing business with Ben Simmons. Everyone on the Raptors roster is available in trade talks except Scotty Barnes, Emmanuel Quickley, and RJ Barrett. I think the other trade is much more desirable for the Warriors. You gotta remember, but two teams have to say yes. Unless the Warriors are like, we don't give a fuck, we want off this contract. Pick up a trade for Gary Trent Jr. For what? For whom? The Mavs? Why? Why? Gary Trent Jr. for Tim? Okay. Why? Pirtle would be the one, but I know that they didn't say Pirtle's untouchable, but I don't know why they would do that. Having like a legit pick and roll center next to Quickly, I think is pretty important. Although I will say, hey, Jonte Porter's been pretty good for them. Boucher, 11 mil, boom, trade him to the Mavs. Again, I'm like, okay, Boucher and then Holmes and the Mavs attached picks or something, but then I'm just like, oh, okay. I mean, what does that do for us? Like, eh. So the Deni Avdija stuff, I'll just come out and say it right now. Avdija, boom. Gafford, boom. In order to make this work contractually, I think it had to be Timmy. And I think Rashawn. Now, I'm telling you, I would greatly consider this. I would greatly consider this, and I think the Wizards would too, to be honest with you. Because that 2027 first could be pretty valuable from the Mavericks. You're eating Rashawn Holmes contract. Maybe you could reroute Tim Hardaway Jr. and get more assets for that, even if it's seconds. You have no real need for Tim Hardaway. And then I don't know. Maybe they think, hey, we'll take a stab in the dark at Jaden Hardy. Avdia's shooting is better than it's been at any point in his career. And maybe if you're the Mavericks, you look at that, you say, all right, this kid's 23 years old. Just turned 23. His shooting numbers are ticking up dramatically. He's up to 37% from three this season. 12.5 points, playmaking, like a real legitimately solid playmaker, and then a legitimately good to great defender. And then, of course, you get one of the better backup centers on the market in Daniel Gafford. However, I will say this. It is totally possible that a team just flat out outbids this package right here for Daniel Gafford by himself. Feel like no way that's enough, though. Denny is one of those guys where I have no fucking idea what his trade value would be. In my mind, I would value him a pretty decent amount if I were the Wizards. They just gave him an extension. It's descending. It's a really, really good contract, I think. Does he fit your timeline? I mean, you don't have a timeline. Like, your timeline doesn't exist, okay? Timeline talks don't start until you get the guy. And the Wizards don't have that. Could Bilal Coulibaly develop into that? Maybe. He's shown some legit flashes. But it'll probably take some time. Deni Avdija for Hardy, Omax, and 2 firsts. No. He plays first with seconds? No, probably not. If I had to guess. You could add like some swaps to some picks. So I think you'd have to greatly consider this if you're the Mavericks, because Deni Avdija is a guy who I think moving forward could be like just a really strong rotational player for you. Gafford's obviously a great backup center option. But then you got to ask yourselves, really, because you trade away your 2027 first. If you do that, you're really, really limiting yourself in what you could do moving forward in a trade. And do these two guys like really take you over the finish line? I personally think that the Wiggins trade has higher upside than this because we've seen Wiggins be like a real high level starter. Denny, high level starter, high level role guy for sure. Gafford's just a really strong backup big, but that's it. And then somebody who could plug in and you feel really comfortable with if Lively's out or whatever the case may be. And these guys are pretty affordable moving forward. But again, it's like, it's a toughie. It's a dilemma. Yeah, in a vacuum, I'd much rather have Denny than Wiggins, for sure. If you're wondering why the Mavericks have to add so much salary to this to make this work, is because right here, Denny's on a poison pill. So even though he's only making $6.2 million this year, whatever team trades for him, the receiving team will be $12.2 million. This team with Denny and Gafford makes us a Western Conference Finals team? Probably not, no. And that's the dilemma right there. In the other trades I had laid out, okay, you get Andrew Wiggins. And let's just say, all right, maybe we can make Wiggins work. Mavs received PJ Washington, Nick Richards, Rashawn Holmes, Grant Williams, Jaden Hardy, and a first. Jesus Christ. That's a lot, man. That account of special ed. Well, to be fair, they're doing a mock trade from Mavs Moneyball. Man, that's a lot. I don't. I've watched a lot of Hornets games over the years because I love LaMelo Ball. PJ Washington is good. Don't get me wrong. But damn, man, I feel like he's being massively overrated by Mavs fans. He's like a legit tweener. I mean, he's plays bigger for his size. He has a big wingspan. But like he's not really big enough to consistently and reliably be a 4 or 5. Whereas Denny, Denny's like a big wing. And I do think eye test shows PJ Washington can be a solid defender. There is talk pointed this out. There's absolutely zero defensive analytics that point to that being the case. Now, granted, those are wonky and can be weird, but I think the eye test paints PJ Washington in a much better light when it comes to defense. Nick Richards is cool. Nick Richards is a good backup big. I wouldn't have too many problems with that. Check answers. I would personally say no. Yeah, I mean, dude, that's a lot, man. You're really you really pretty much have to be saying, does PJ Washington make us like? Is this one of the final moves we have in our arsenal? PJ is 6'7", but I think from when I was doing research, he's smaller than that. Hornets fans laugh at the idea that he's 6'7". But yes, if the Mavericks could use this same package or a package very similar to this to get Denny and Gafford are just is a way better duo than this two, in my opinion. Let's also not forget, like, there was some weird stuff with PJ Washington. I think he was just kind of a casualty of a weird market, but he was available for a long time, man. He didn't sign until September, damn near. He didn't sign until September. That's true. Restricted free agency for sure. But damn, like, no one put pressure on the Hornets. No one was like, hey, Kyle Kuzma, you are a Maverick. I immediately love the failed at the top here. Oh, it's because January 15th. I mean, yeah, I would do that for sure. Kyle Kuzma should be worth around what Rozier got. No, I think Kuzma would go for 2 firsts. I think if they asked for it and the team was desperate enough, they'd get it. It won't be from the Mavericks, though. I promise you that. 2 firsts at least. And I don't know, maybe for the Mavericks, you look at this and you say, wait a second. Can I not just use this deal, this package right here to get Kuzma? And then I think the Wizards say, no, you can't. I got the Kings on the line, and they're willing to give up 2 firsts. I'd rather have that. I think I can call the Kings right now and say, hey, I'm about to trade Kyle Kuzma to the Mavericks, 2 firsts, and he's yours. I have no idea what the Warriors do with Clay. That's actually a really interesting storyline to watch. Dodo's just hard, man. I mean, okay, Dorian Finney-Smith for Tim Hardaway Jr. just immediately. Is that even possible? It is. I have to see how close is Brooklyn to any tax. $8 million below it? Okay. They also have a huge trade exception. They have a $19.9 million trade exception. Are you allowed to use those with? Like, are they allowed to use this? Can't use the players' picks. Okay, that's what I thought. And then it would have to be like maybe. So this is what my offer would be if I were the Mavericks. First and foremost, where is he? You can't run, buddy. I mean, this would just be immediately what my offer is. My first offer. Tim Hardy, a young player, in 2 seconds. Getting Dorian back. Maybe the Nets can reroute Tim. I think the Nets tell you no. The Nets probably tell you, dude, I'm on the phone with like 7 different teams that are offering me a first-round pick. A first-round pick, and then maybe like a more palatable player. So, okay. Then you say, all right, we got 1 pick to play with. You already have our 2029 first. We'll give you the 2027 first. It's rich. It's rich, man. Oh, we got to be real with you. It's a little rich. Now, you can look at this from the Mavericks' point of view and say, all right, we basically traded Jaden Hardy, Spencer Dinwiddie, and 2 firsts for Dorian Finney-Smith, or for Kyrie Irving. That's way too much for Dorian Finney-Smith. This is why a Dorian Finney-Smith trade is so difficult for the Mavericks, because there are teams out there that will give up a first for him. Like, there are teams out there that will give up a first, who have a stash of first-round picks, who have a need for a player like Dorian Finney-Smith, because every team in the league needs a player like Dorian Finney-Smith. And we're going to go out and get him, and we'll give up a first. So then that means the Mavericks would have to fork over a first if they wanted him. And the Mavericks aren't in really a position to do that. That's the problem. That's the ultimate problem. Who can give Brooklyn what they want? 2 first for Dorian? Probably no one, but see, I think that this could probably get it done. I don't know if the Nets would get a much better package than this for Dorian. A young player with some decent upside in Hardy. You're going nowhere as a team. So give him some runs, see what happens. Even though you don't give Cam Thomas any runs, so Cam Thomas minutes are spotty, so I don't know why the fuck Hardy would be getting real legitimate minutes there. And Tim is maybe somebody. Maybe somebody you could reroute. Josh is difficult to trade because of he's poison pilled. Poison pill player hasn't been traded since like 2009 or something crazy like that. I think this might be the year that changes because there's a lot of poison pill players out there. Yeah, new CBA changes that. There you go. Exactly. Clay? Are we doing this for real? Fucking Clay? I actually don't even know how a Clay trade makes sense. $43 million? Clay's not getting traded to the Mavericks. There's no. I don't think there's a trade that makes sense. Like this would have to be. I don't even think this works. We'd still have to make up like 13 million, 10 million. I mean, where are you making that up? Like along the way, 10 million. Grant. Okay. That's fucking disgusting. That is disgusting. Okay. That is just the stupidest fucking trade. That is the dumbest fucking trade I can imagine. I guess let's try to walk through it. Why would this trade happen in a weird psycho world? Okay, I guess the Warriors just want to get off Clay. They don't think they're going to pay him. And they wouldn't do this, I'm telling you right now. I've come to the conclusion with the Warriors. Draymond, Clay, these guys are not getting traded midseason. They're just too important to like the overall Warriors brand. That them getting traded or them changing teams would be like a big kind of, I wouldn't say drawn out, but like a big deal in the offseason. Like there's a whole like, thank you so much. You know, maybe a goodbye party or whatever the fuck. Trading the midseason feels like it would be kind of cold. And I don't think they would do it. So then what? What happens here? Like Klay Thompson thinks he's going to get a lot of money. The Mavericks are going to pay him that in the offseason? No fucking thanks. No thank you. I didn't think we'd be talking about Klay to the Mavs. That's gross. Well, somebody asked if we could do it. Again, Draymond, I don't think they'd trade him midseason. Like we do have to understand that this is a business, and there are certain optics to things, and I just don't think they would trade them midseason. Patrick Williams, I don't really see a pathway there. Mikal in the offseason, I've seen this get brought up a bunch by Mavs fans. Maybe. My cat's going crazy. Thoughts on Dalton Trigg's opinion the Mavs should maybe be a baby seller if they could get draft capital for players at the deadline? What in the fuck is this? Ain't no way. Ain't no way. Clint? I really don't want Clint Capella, man. I mean, we could do old reliable Clint for Tim Hardaway Jr. Old reliable. This trade was proposed a billion times in the offseason. Old reliable, dust it off. Clint Capella for Trae Young or Tim Hardaway Jr. I don't want Clint Capella. I did maybe in the past. He's not. He just doesn't look like he's got it anymore. But then I go right back to the Hawks are doing this. Why exactly? I'm going to have a DeAndre Hunter trade in my trade deadline predictions. It's not going to be the Mavericks. I have the Hawks getting busy at the trade deadline. I'll just say that. I got them getting real fucking busy. Marcus Morris and a first for Tim. Why would the Sixers do that? I'd have to actually seriously consider that if they offered that to me. But I don't think the Sixers would offer that. All right, we've messed around long enough. I gotta be real with you guys. I like my proposals just in terms of them feeling like realistic and trades that could happen. I like them. I get that they're not like the most enjoyable ones, but oh, Kyrie's wearing a brace on his thumb. So Kyrie's probably not playing tonight and is probably done for a while. What am I watching here? Who was that, Dudley? It really doesn't help like some of the perceptions surrounding the Mavericks that every single I know that this is just them having fun and fucking around. But every single like practice video of the Mavericks has been them shooting half court shots. Like very rarely it'll be like here's the half court competition from today's practice. Why did I just watch that whole video? I thought since you sent it in here there would be something interesting. I can't believe I just sat down and watched that entire thing. The first report about Kai was will not miss significant time. Well, in the grand scheme of things, 2 games is not significant if that's what it ends up being. They do play tomorrow night. Clay Bice is not ready for the Cat and Clay to the Mavs trade. And both? You think Kleba is bringing anything more than Omax on offense right now? Offense? No. He is much better defensively currently, though. I mean, Maxi's not bringing anything to the table offensively. I don't know, man. I just don't know.